At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Okay, welcome back. Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed is now in the guest chair. He's a stockbroker and financial analyst. Thank you very much, as always, Mukhtar, for coming on.
Always a pleasure. Compliment, Caesar.
Indeed, same to you. Compliments. Now, we've talked about this before, and that was when things were tight. That means the borders were still open. Now, our borders, have been partially reopened. I include the word partially because just 4 of them were opened. I don't mean say even the 4, now only partial. No, that's not what I'm saying. But there are more than 4 land borders. And the Minister of Finance said that by the 31st of the month, all those other ones would possibly be opened as well. What does this say to you, Mukhtar? Because there have been complaints from businesses that are related with the borders, beyond the much bigger questions of international relations between us and our neighbors. What is... If I were to ask you as a financial analyst, what's your perspective on this reopening? It's a good thing? It's a poor thing? What do you think? It's
a good thing. We have been waiting for it so long because we said in this program before that you cannot close the border forever.
Yeah,
there'll come a day they definitely have to open the border, and I think the government had no option than to open the border between now and January. Remember, the African Continental Trade Agreement will take effect from January 2021. So we have to be compliant. We've signed the agreement, so we have to open the border. That's one way that you look at it. Secondly, we've seen inflation go up, and people have attributed to the borders closure. And then we've seen that, again, you see that the government have tried to put up palliative to make their own coming through our own seaport now very interesting, because very convenient also, because they brought down the charges that makes us most other ports like the semi ports
so attractive. Those ones were transshipping.
Yeah, so you don't have to do that again. We brought down, the government is looking at bringing down the cost of payment in terms of card duty tariff. They brought it back from almost 75% to they're looking at like 10 to 15%. They brought back the things on tractors, and others will even be brought lower than that. So
all those advantages that our neighbors were taking and hurting us, Nigeria is now saying, oh, okay, to complete, so to speak.
Yeah, we can do those things in our borders, so you can definitely come through our port instead of landing in Itseme, then trying to clear through the land borders. So we'll make it attractive for you also to be able to do that here. I think you have to give them kudos for that.
As you know, Nigeria, because look, we say it with a sense of humility, Nigeria cannot be a pushover in Africa, especially in our region, in West Africa here, even in all of Africa, but certainly in our region. Now, when we took the action, arguably, some of our neighbors were deeply hurt.
Yeah.
They really hurt in their businesses, in their pockets. Take Ghana, for example. There are those who say the restive nature between both of us, you can actually connect it to all this.
We must look at it this way. The Nigerian government did not say they cannot stop the borders, doesn't want Ghana goods to come in. But what made them to close the borders is that goods from Europe and other nations that are supposed to come directly from our borders were coming from Ghana, from Benin, from other countries that are supposed to come directly. So because of they feel they could pay tariff, and then the smuggling issue that has to do with that. So by tightening our borders, by closing up our borders, we're able to make them realize that we will not take this again. So it's now bear on them to begin to make sure that the right thing is done when things like this are coming into, because some of them legitimately, there are some Ghanaians that were doing into Texas and all those. Nigeria is not saying you cannot come with it. As long as those products were produced in Ghana, as long as those products are made in Benin, as long as those products are made in Ghana, you can bring it to Nigeria. We don't have a point. Even with the opening of the border.
But not when it's from Taiwan, China
Europe, and you because you're home, you bring it there, and then they're looking for other ways to come through to get cheaper tariff. And then secondly, you must say, I don't know how true is that, but the minister was saying that they've been able to look at the importation in terms of fuel consumption. When the border was open and when the border was closed, they realized that it has come down. So actually also we're also paying, when we're doing the subsidy, we're paying subsidy for our other neighbors also. So, but that has to do with the porous nature of the border.
Okay.
Now the Minister for Internal Affairs is saying we've done every due diligence, we'll make sure our borders are secure. Those are things that journalists will need to find out.
Indeed.
Indeed, to know really if these borders, if all those activities that caused the closure of these borders are no more going to be seen in those places again.
And one of our regular viewers, Mr. Babangida, has brought up the issue. He captured it in a few words that ring with every Nigerian. He said, this is Nigeria. Of course, we all know what that coded means. He anchored it on corruption, which was part of the problem earlier that we had earlier. And I know you want to get in on this, but you know what? So I don't have to interrupt you. Let me take a commercial break, and then you can weigh in on this whole matter about, can we make this work? Will we make it work? Or will it work by itself automatically? Stay with us, please. We'll be right back.
At TVC News, wherever the big news stories happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Okay, welcome back. Still with Mr. Mohammed, financial analyst, and we're looking at the effects, positive effects of opening up our borders again, as the president has just ordered yesterday following the Federal Executive Council meeting. Now we're looking at what's likely to happen, and we were going to talk about institutions via the whole matter about Babangida, calling in from Adamawa, reminding us that this is Nigeria. All those good plans you have made, this is Nigeria.
You know, as a young man, not being in Lagos, they say when you come into Lagos, the first thing you see is that this is Lagos, not welcome to Lagos. So that you say this is Nigeria. Could be positive, could be negative. When you say this is Nigeria, the Nigerian
But
spirit,
I really wish this is Nigeria to become a positive
Nigerian
statement.
Spirit, yes, Nigerian spirit. But this is Nigeria.
That no nonsense is going to be allowed.
But there's no sense. I know what he's talking about. He's talking about corruption. He's talking about weak institutions. And I think that's the basic challenge. Ordinarily, things like this should run on their own if you have the institutions. We have weak institutions, and not only weak institutions, we have weak structures that are even within these institutions. It has to do with bottleneck, it has to do with a lot of, so definitely there will be a challenge because we have not changed the man that the custom and excise people are not all gone. The man that is doing the clearing and forwarding guys, they're going to go back to business as normal.
If they can.
If they can.
Because if the systems are as strong as they need to be following this break, when Customs says it has been gearing up and preparing and all of that, maybe anybody wanting to return to business.
I don't know how they have been preparing because we've had a law that you see custom people still arresting people with cars that have been registered after 2 or 3 years, trying to tell them they still come into the city to begin to. Is that the people that seem prepared? I think we have a very weak institution. That's going to be a major challenge. Even with the African Continental Trade Agreement, it's the weak institution that is going to make Nigeria suffer, that will not gain from it. So,
but this can be made to work.
It can be made to work, but it has to become, you have to work when we have good institutions. And institutions are not built overnight. And institutions are not built by strong men. Institutions are built by policies. Institutions are built by men that comes up with strategy on how to build institutions. What we have now, why Custom is making the type of money they are making now, in terms of it, is because of the man that is there. The head of Custom himself, that seems to be a man that was a former military man, a man that was known to be not corrupt. That's why you can see those. So by the time he goes, will he be there forever? No. He's still trying to build institutions.
Well, okay.
That's on that thing. He's still trying to build institutions. But if you look at the structure that has come in, he has not dismantled those structures. Those structures are there, so we can't say he's building institutions.
It's an interesting point you make, because even if that is so, could you allow that perhaps those structures that you say have not been dismantled might possibly be working a bit more efficiently?
I hope so. If you talk about people that are doing business, you just need to bring in those people that clear their goods from the port, and they tell you a lot of things. You pay for your custom duty, you pay your tariff, you are moving out of the port, you go to a certain gate, they are asking you for a certain document, you go to the second gate, they are asking you for a second document, and again
the endless, bureaucracy. Let me call Mazi Okoroafo in Arochukwu. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Mr. Mukar.
Good morning, sir.
Honestly, Sayori and Mr. Mukar, see, the issue of reopening the border, we have to look onwards again. The federal government has to be very careful, and even the custom people. There are some goods that have been packed there since for months, and some of them are about expiring. So government has to be very careful so that they will not bring in flood Nigeria with all these expired products.
I get you.
And coming to create more problem for us. It's because we have not reopened. But the question is, thank God that they are going to create employment for all those who are clearing and forwarding agent members. See, it has been a very big problem, very big challenge to many of them. Thank God for that. But the question now is this. Now that the federal government said, like my brother Muka was just saying, that all these taxes that will create rooms for our importers to make use of Nigerian seaport. But the question is this. The federal government has to be very careful that the authority consider people that are there adhere to the federal government directives. You come there to that place, they will now try to bring the old record that have been existing for years, creating more problem for importers. So it's not a question of federal government saying they will waive all those taxes, but the question is proper monitoring and implementation is what the federal government has to do. The customs are there and other agencies in the post authority.
Yeah.
Because Nigeria, we are good in policy making, implementation, and monitoring. Always our problem. Because I see no reason why you import cars and everything, you can't go to Cotonou and start caring for those things. It's not healthy. And also of those money that supposed to accrue to Nigeria, it's not there.
Yeah.
Look at, now ask yourself, the public company, what are they doing? They are, because of this import Nigeria that they are making their own revenue, generating them and moving fine. As you have about these pictures of COVID-19, close the border, they are moving. But here in Nigeria, the giant of Africa, because of our problem, corruption and a battle everything. No. Thank God for opening up border, at least. We don't want expired products into Nigeria. So
all right, Mazi, I get you. Thank you very much, sir, for calling in. It's an interesting point that he makes there, that, look, any goods that is on the verge of being expiry, don't just say because this thing has happened, you let all sorts of foods come in.
That's what we're talking about, institution. It's not supposed to happen if you have strong institutions. You have Standard Organization of Nigeria.
Yeah.
They are supposed to be in the borders in terms of good clearing. We have NAFTAC also in terms of it has to do with medical. So that's what we keep saying about institutions.
And then he also brought up, which is another way of saying this is Nigeria, monitoring.
You see, when it comes to monitoring, let me give you the Director General of the Customs. I said, have monitoring group. You see them walking around. They tell you that those are the people that will arrest you even when you are driving in Lagos after 2 or 3 days, or maybe even 1 month, 1 year, ask you to bring your custom clearing. That's monitoring. You see, when we talk about institution, you've left the coast, you've cleared that goods, you've traveled, you have traveled on the way, you see custom within Nigeria, within states.
Oh dear, I really wish that we still had Mr. Joseph Atta on the phone to help clarify all of these. But he's listening to all of this, as indeed a few other officers in customs might be listening. Someone else came on the line in the meantime. I didn't hear that. Who came on the line? Daniel, good morning, sir. Daniel, I think we lost Daniel. Thank you for bringing up the point about systems, bringing up the point about monitoring. We say the same thing in different ways.
How do you create systems? The world has gone beyond analog, like we say. How do you create systems? You create systems by technology.
Okay.
You see, let me give it, Lagos State government, let me use the VIO. Before those days, when you don't go with your driver's license, they will tell you, you show me your driver's license. And these days, they will tell you, show me your driver's license. And you say, look, I didn't come up with it. They looked at your plate number, they just spin the machine, pim, and they say it. You have paid all your due, they tell you to go. Those are systems that cannot be corrupted. It's not the normal analog system that you're telling me to bring one document. Customs should document every vehicle we have in Nigeria, should be in one data system.
Well, when you said it depends on systems, yes, I'll agree with you on one part. But perhaps you also consider that the objective, what is the objective? What is the intended objective? Perhaps it also depends on that. When government was ready to finally curb it, they came up with BVN, for example. Now, suddenly, everybody is talking about BVN being almost like a work of genius. Very, very difficult. And, but so it comes back to sincerity of purpose, perhaps. What is the an announced intended result? I don't want to go to Boko Haram because when you look at what we've been doing with Boko Haram, engaging with them, more than a decade now, there are those who are of the opinion that this is a charade. The Nigerian army can take Boko Haram out if only that was the intended objective.
Well, those are for the military guys.
That's a different perspective. But you see, I wanted to come back to what is do you intend that it shall be watertight? That there shall be no leeway, no room?
Uncle Yorin, they need to tell us. The Nigerian Port Authority have been saying that they are trying to digitize their systems, whereby you don't have to do all this analog. And I remember a guy telling me that in the United States of America, when he's bringing goods from Nigeria, from US to Nigeria, he doesn't even have to go to the port in US. And when he's exporting from Nigeria, that is where the challenge has to be. He has to get somebody to go to the port in Nigeria to make sure that things is being sent.
So systems again. Let me bring in our last caller, Mr. Azubike in Songo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Thank you for having me. This is my first caller.
We're delighted to have you. Thank you for calling in.
There's one thing I want to talk about this, what they are opening.
Sure.
You see, for what the other caller from Adawama said about the open of the demanding Nigeria custom. You see, everything in Nigeria today, what all Nigeria today is custom paper. Because from Uroboki there, from Cameroon down to Adamawa there, rice are coming. From Sango here, from Ituroko border here, down to Sango here, rice are coming every day when they block the borders. We have Martians who from the customs, who always carry rice from 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock midnight, entering Sango, entering Ikeja. No, see, any bad things coming in Nigeria, custom knows about it. I'm a smuggler and I know what I'm telling you.
Did you just say you're a smuggler yourself, sir?
Before.
I
know what I said, yes.
And you're talking about how easy it was?
Yes.
Because you knew the system?
Yes.
Oh, dear.
See, from Sokoto down to Niger there, rice and everything are coming. If you don't have money, custom will catch you and put you on television. But if you have money, all your goods will reach east. All your goods will reach Port Harcourt. Any goods custom tax show for television is the person who does not have what they're having to pay. All the road, thousands of millions of roads from Sokoto, from Adamawa, enter Adamawa town. From Sokoto, all the Niger Republic, all those many exits enter. All, see,
I'm going to thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Zubike. Thank you very, very much. I didn't really mean to interrupt you because I really was enjoying what you were saying, and particularly because of your experience. You said you're a former smuggler before, and you know the system, and you are saying that we need to factor in all these things that you are saying.
If somebody that says he's a former smuggler and he stays with Songo, and he's still telling
and he's testifying
that, look,
these things are still coming
when
in.
the border was even closed.
And he's even saying that, leaning on his experience of when he was still doing the wrong thing, that it's not that easy. Now, I just hope that customs has evolved from where it needs to be.
I hope so, too.
And,
I hope so, too. But if somebody is telling you that when the border was closed, things were still happening. So when the border is open now, things will still happen.
Okay. Well, Mr. Joseph Atta, please take note of that. And indeed, we'll talk with you another day about these kind of things. Thank you very much, Mr. Atta, for joining us at the top of the program. Mr. Atta is the Customs PRO, and thank you as well. And our thanks to Jide Ologun, who started the program off with the diplomatic and administrative aspects of this particular event. Thank you very much, as always, Mukhtar Mohammed, financial analyst. Indeed, it pleasures all ours. So that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Fulani. Bye-bye for now.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.